Hello again, this is Nick Roach. Again, it's a lovely day, so we're here outside on the veranda. You'll hear the noises of the birds, lawnmowers, all sorts of stuff, as is the way. I'd like to say a few words about mixing up different teachings. Now, the teacher whose teaching I followed, a chap by the name of Barry Long, always said very strongly that one should not try to follow different masters. Very strongly, and as a result I never did. For 20 years, thankfully by the time I found Barry, he already had lots of books and cassettes and was doing regular talks and seminars, so I was always learning the new stuff and getting more stuff to read and watch, listen to. But I never read anybody else's stuff. Didn't know of any other teachers except for Barry. Then, when, I'll say, it happened here, and by then he had died, he passed away at the same time, I started to explore a bit further. And first I came across this non-duality teaching. This comes from the Indian religion Advaita, where they say there's nobody here. This is nothing happening to nobody. And indeed, a couple of weeks ago I did a video called I Am Everything, I Am Nothing, where I explained the apparent contradiction in those two statements, where I was coming from and where these non-duality people were coming from, and how they're two sides of the same coin. And I think I would have got quite confused had I heard about those while I was trying to follow Barry's teaching. How could I have followed him, who said about go within and feel the I am, and listen to all these people, the non-duality Advaita people, telling me there is no I because there's no one here, and there's no one here to do anything, there's no one here to dissolve emotion, so you're not doing it, no one's doing it, it's not happening. I couldn't have put the two together. Now, more recently, I found another teacher who seems to be very advanced, and yet he himself teaches a completely different technique or approach to me. Completely different. So much so that when we attempted to communicate, even though we both know what we're talking about, the words we are using, very straightforward to each of us perhaps words, mean different things. So we were seeming to not agree on so much, and yet it's only because one word would mean different things to each of us. And after a short while, just a few email communications, I really got the message that if someone is early on their journey, haven't established their own sense of experience and what they know and don't know, without knowing anything ultimately but their own path, if someone was to come across two teachers like that, two teachings, two totally different terminology, especially if either one is a bit strong and strict in his view, that one's wrong, only mine is right, you have to listen to me, you're doing it wrong. I don't, it would confuse the person so enormously they wouldn't know what to do. And it was then I really understood why Barry used to say so strongly, don't try to follow more than one master. One master's teaching, you're not really following anybody, you're following what the person says. Now, where it might not be a problem at all is when a teacher does not teach a path or technique or a process or a method. They just teach being in the moment. And that might give one motivation, extra encouragement to work a bit harder to be in the moment. Because I would suggest any teacher that teaches a method will involve in some way being still and going within. I don't know where else it could be. So that may not be controversial or complicated or contradictory in any way. But if you choose a teacher or teaching, a method, technique or approach that works for you, I would suggest it's best to be quite careful not to read too many others, even out of curiosity, or if you do, be quite careful, because it's very easy for another teacher who's very strong and knows what he's talking about in his own experience to knock you, to give the impression that he knows something that you don't, and that he knows something your teacher doesn't, because he doesn't know this, this and this. And when it's all about terminology, or even if it's just a completely different approach, you trying to put two different approaches together and they're just not going to meet, and you're going to get stuck and you're going to get confused. That's not the end of the world, but it's worth keeping in mind. Thank you.